Welcome to a new Draw My Life video.
Hey there, TikTakers! We are very happy to share with you a new and terrifying Halloween. Fear lovers should be delighted as we have 2 weeks of videos on this topic ahead of us. Today, we bring you one of the main courses, the Creepypasta 0. We recommend you to get comfortable and turn off the lights to enjoy the experience. Let's start! Alice was a young girl with green eyes and candy-colored hair. She was sweet and intelligent, but very shy and never had any friends. That's why she often created her own imaginary friends that she named with a number to differentiate them. There was one in particular that stood out, her first imaginary friend, 0. For Alice, life was sad until 0 arrived. She was her best friend and always protected her. 0 wore a black sweater, black and white striped gloves and socks, and brown boots. Around her eyes were black circles. Alice would spend all her time with her, and when her parents saw her playing and talking to herself, they got worried and thought about seeking help. One summer day, Alice sat down to sunbathe in her garden. The sun caressed her pale skin. As she sat on the grass, she felt a strange sensation. Something in the depths of her mind urged her to cross to the other side of the street. Barefoot, she headed towards the road. As she looked up, she saw a large white truck coming towards her and she was paralyzed, in shock. There was a loud, squeaking sound as the vehicle turned in another direction, dodging her and falling down the hill until it caught fire. Alice froze pale. She watched as someone crawled desperately out of the vehicle, covered in crimson blood. It was her father, and next to him was her mother, screaming as they burned to death. "Mom! Dad!" she cried out. It was the last time she saw them. After the accident, she was adopted by her neighbor, Mrs. Rogers. She was an alcohol addict. Alice hated her very much, but she had no one else, no family, no friends. As she grew older, she forgot her imaginary friends. One day in class, Alice was absorbed drawing in her notebook when the teacher caught her attention. "Alice, I suggest you pay attention in my classes. I don't think you need another 0. She was confused. Something the teacher had just said bothered her, but she didn't know what. She felt sick, so she asked for permission to go to the bathroom and rest out. When she arrived, she washed her face with cold water, and when she looked up to her reflection, she panicked. She swore she saw someone else. She went back to class and saw how strange red circles were drawn in her notebook. A chill ran through her body. As she left class, she found her only friend, Anne, who had short blonde hair and brown eyes. "Hello, Alice. Welcome to Wonderland," said Anne. "I'm not in the mood today, Anne," she replied seriously. "Come on, cheer up. You have me here for anything." When she arrived home, she went up to her room trying not to make any noise. As she passed through the living room, she held her breath. "Here you are, bloody girl," shouted Mrs. Rogers, grabbing her arm. Her breath stunk. Alice screamed. "What is this, huh?" she said, pushing her towards the kitchen where it was all full of beer cans and boxes of pre-cooked food. I'm sorry. I didn't have time to clean up. I was late for school." "I don't need excuses. Don't let it happen again or you'll regret it, I swear." She threw her on the floor and she hit her head with the floor tiles. Alice picked everything up containing her sadness, anger, and confusion. The next day, she took another route to school so no one would see her. She walked through the snowy forest in her black sweatshirt, covering the bruise on her face. Just as she got to school, something made her fall. She felt a group of boys laughing at her, her blood boiling with rage more and more intensely. She got up and pushed the boy. She threw him to the ground and started hitting his face non-stop. "Alice, stop!" she heard screaming. "What's wrong with you? We only want to help you." She looked up and saw everyone's horrified expression, including that of her friend Anne. She looked at her bloody knuckles and the boy's smashed face. "What have I done? I didn't mean to," she thought. Tears filled her eyes. She stood up and fled into the woods. When she got home, she blindfolded her wounds in the bathroom and saw her reflection in the mirror. "What did I just do? I didn't want to." "Oh no, of course not. It was me. I just wanted to protect you," answered the voice, using her own mouth. Alice stepped away, surprised. It was unbelievable, but her reflection had just spoken for her. Who are you?" she asked, stuttering. "I'm your best friend, remember?" Her head started spinning as she fell to the ground feebly. The voice was inside her head, repeating the same phrase over and over again. "I'm your best friend, your only friend, Zero." In the following weeks, the voices stopped. But Alice began to become a different person, more and more irritable and violent. She often suffered sudden attacks and laughed like a mad woman. She felt as if her mind was someone else's. When Mrs. Rogers found out that she had been expelled from school, she got angry and locked her in her room. She sobbed, felt weaker and weaker until one night she fainted. When she woke up, she was on the floor, her whole body hurt. There was no sign of Mrs. Rogers. Relieved, she left her room and went to the living room. She was surprised by news that appeared on television where they said they had found a decapitated woman. She decided to make herself a soup for dinner. A rotten smell struck her. A hammer covered with blood was lying on the floor. Scared, she returned to her room. As she entered, she saw the walls covered with circles drawn in blood. And on her bed laid Mrs. Rogers' lifeless head. She ran out of the room in horror, but tripped and fell down the stairs until she reached the floor unconscious. She woke up again in a room full of mirrors that reflected her pale face with tired eyes. "Aren't you happy? It's gone. She won't bother you anymore," said the same spooky voice. She turned around, but no one else was there. "What are you? A demon? I want answers." "Don't you remember me, Alice? I'm your best friend. I'm Zero. We're best friends forever. I had to find a way to protect you. I'm part of your conscience, so I'm you," whispered the voice. "That's not possible. I had to kill your parents. They wanted to separate us, but you still abandoned me. Now I'm getting stronger," said the sinister voice. An uncontrollable rage seized Alice. With her fists, she punched the mirrors. She didn't feel any pain. She didn't feel anything at all. "You took everything from me. I have no one because of you." She broke the last mirror and closed her eyes, blinded by a white glow. When she opened them again, she went to the bathroom to look at herself. Both her skin and her hair were completely white. Black circles surrounded her eyes. She began to laugh out loud. Alice was gone and Zero was free. "I almost look like a skeleton, only missing the teeth," said Zero. She grabbed sharp scissors and cut out her cheeks in a grin from ear to ear. Blood flowed from the wounds. She took a needle and sewed the flesh. Zero hated the red color, so she stuck her index finger in bleach and pointed at her eyes. When she regained her vision, all the colors had been dyed faded gray, dark black, and blinding white. The telephone rang and Zero answered, imitating Alice's voice. It was Anne, who invited her to her house because she had a gift for her. She picked up her hammer and went out the door impatiently with a psychopathic smile on her face. When Anne opened the door for her, she was shocked. Alice was now a white monster. Scared, she tried to run, but Zero grabbed her arm and threw her to the ground. "Alice, what are you doing?" shouted Anne in despair. "Alice is not coming back. She was a pipsqueak," She laughed out loud. She lifted the heavy hammer and smashed it against her head. With the knife, she tore the skin to remove the bones. One by one, she deposited them on the ground next to the corpse, shaping a skeleton. Only the skull was missing, but it was shattered, so she plunged her hand into the pool of blood and painted a circle where the head should be. Next to the body was a box with a label that read, "For Alice." She removed the cover, took the black and white stripped scarf from inside, and wore it. "Whoa, thank you, Anne. That was fun. Now that you're gone, we will finally be zero," said the murderer as she walked out the door and stepped into the darkness of the forest.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it. And if you want to see more Draw My Life videos, subscribe to our channel. See you in the next episode!